Lu Fan and Elder Han continued their discussion for a long time. They went over strategies, possible risks, and the steps that would need to be taken before any action began. After some time, Lu Fan finally stepped out of the room. By the time he left, he had already realized something clearly. Elder Han's wisdom and foresight were truly exceptional. Every decision the elder made seemed carefully calculated, as if he could already see several moves ahead. However, one thing still lingered in Lu Fan's mind. He had not expected that in the Sakura Nation the Tianyin Palace would also have so many powerful experts. That realization made the situation far more serious than he had initially thought. If matters continued to develop like this, then immediate deployment and preparation would be necessary. Meanwhile, on the other side, far away from the capital, inside the dining hall of the Shadow Castle's inner district on Tianfu Island, a warm atmosphere filled the room. Freshly prepared dishes were placed on the table, and the aroma of food wafted gently through the air. Jia Oman laughed lightly as she spoke. "Sister Han, eat some more. I made this especially for you today." But as soon as she said these words, someone suddenly came to mind, Lu Fan. She looked around the room, a little confused. Wait, where did Lu Fan go? He came back just a while ago, and now he's disappeared again. Hearing this, Kim Ku paused. For a moment she also thought of Lu Fan. Then she sighed softly and said softly, "He just went out again." At that moment, in another place far from the castle halls, Lu Fan was speaking with the dragons. The wind moved slowly around them as he explained the situation in detail, his plan, the threat from the Sakura Nation, and the possibility of launching an attack. But the moment the dragons heard his words, their reactions were immediate. "So, you're saying we should wipe out the Sakura Nation?" one of the dragons said, its voice deep and thunderous. "Lu Fan, do you want us to start a war?" Another dragon spoke with a cold, ancient tone. "As expected, humans are always trying to test their luck." Its eyes narrowed slightly as it continued. "Just because the mother and we have acknowledged you, it does not mean you can act however you want." The air grew tense. Instead, he calmly explained, "This isn't recklessness. It's a carefully planned strategy. If it succeeds, the entire nation will continuously supply life energy materials to the Life Dragon King." His words carried confidence. "For you, this means a steady and powerful source of energy in the future." The dragons fell silent for a moment after hearing that. Then one of them leaned closer, its massive presence looming like a mountain. "Are you telling the truth?" the dragon asked slowly. Lu Fan stepped forward and spoke calmly to Blue Planet Dragon, his voice steady but firm. "The 3 senior leaders of the country have already agreed to this," he said. "How could this be a lie? They've guaranteed delivery within 3 days of the mission's completion." The dragon paused for a moment, then said in a serious voice, "And if they break their promise, I will personally destroy the territory that belongs to me." The dragons watched him intently, their large eyes reflecting suspicion and curiosity at the same time. Lu Fan continued, "For now, I won't break the confidentiality of the documents, but this classified file contains the main targets you must focus on." He lifted the document slightly. "These are the locations of the 13 experts of Sakura Nation. They all want to take over Dragon Nation. They must be eliminated in a single attack." "The Dragon Nation needs stability from the Sakura Nation," Lu Fan said, "and the dragon race needs to survive and grow." He then looked directly at the dragons. "It's a win-win situation." After listening to Lu Fan, the dragon finally spoke in a deep, firm voice. "For Mother's recovery, I will use all my strength." Lu Fan nodded slightly. "The trail and targets have already been set. I've told you the locations. Is that enough?" The dragon replied without hesitation. "That's enough for me." As soon as these words were said, the dragon spread its large wings. As they rose into the sky, a strong gust of wind blew onto the ground. Within moments, they disappeared into the clouds, setting off to hunt their targets. Their voices echoed in the air as they departed. "We will hunt them down, every single one of them." Lu Fan watched them disappear into the distance and made a small gesture with his hand. "Good," he said softly. 2 days later, it was the day of the Sakura Festival. Throughout Sakura Nation, celebrations were taking place in the streets. The capital, Chiroda, looked brighter than ever. Lanterns hung from every street, colorful banners fluttered in the air, and the markets were bustling with people enjoying the festival. Music played in the background, and shopkeepers called out to families passing by. In the crowd, a little girl happily walked with her parents, holding their hands as they wandered the market. Her laughter mingled with the joyful noise of the city. For the people of the nation, it was a day of joy. But away from the bustling streets, inside the Sakura Nation's capital palace, the atmosphere was completely different. This place was known as the Royal Palace Council Chamber, the heart of the nation's power. Inside the chamber, several officials sat around a large table. The atmosphere was tense. A senior Sakura Nation official frowned and spoke sharply. "Where are the 4 domain lords?" He looked around the room, clearly annoyed. The entire country is celebrating the 5th Grand Festival, yet they themselves have disappeared. What's going on? One of the officials sitting in front of him bowed slightly and replied, "Master, they've gone to the Dragon Nation." The man's face hardened. "For what reason?" The official answered carefully. "They're carrying out Your Majesty's grand plan, expanding our territory." The council room fell silent for a moment. Suddenly, something happened that terrified everyone inside the council chamber. A huge shadow spread across the hall. The light from outside faded as something enormous flew over the palace. One official looked up toward the sky and shouted in fear, "Oh no, those are dragons!" They were Lufan's dragons. In the next moment, chaos broke out across the city. The dragons descended from the sky and began destroying everything. Their roars echoed through the capital, buildings shook, and the peaceful festival instantly turned into panic. The attack had begun. The dragons continued spreading destruction across the capital. Amid the chaos, the city's soldiers quickly spotted them. These were the guards responsible for protecting the capital of the Sakura Nation. One soldier looked at his captain and asked nervously, "Captain, can we even stop those dragons?" The captain, steering his vehicle through the shaking streets, replied firmly, "Even if we can't stop them, we still have to try." At that moment, the dragons descended to the ground and began attacking more violently. Buildings collapsed and flames spread through the streets. Soon, the priests from the nation's temple joined the battle, trying to stop the dragons. They fought bravely and continued attacking again and again. But suddenly, one dragon swung its massive tail. In a single instant, the 3 priests were struck down and killed. Seeing the situation worsen, several soldiers rushed to the high priest and reported urgently, "My lord, because of the dragon attacks, different districts are falling one after another. Please, we should evacuate the area immediately." Hearing the soldiers' report, the high priest turned sharply and waved his hand in frustration. "Why is a dragon attacking the Sakura Nation?" he demanded. "Who is behind this attack?" Suddenly, he grabbed a soldier by the collar and said angrily, "Damn those 4 house lords! When I needed them the most, where did they disappear to?" The soldier looked at him nervously, clearly frightened. Stammering, he replied, "The 4 great families and even Tianyin Palace are leaderless right now. Everything is in chaos." He hesitated for a moment, then added, "But there are still hidden experts among our people. We still have hope." Meanwhile, elsewhere, an old man sat quietly in his seat. His name was Yusyu Chi, a level 125 divine counselor. Despite the chaos that engulfed the country, his face remained calm. 2 people sat in front of him. One of them spoke first. "Did the Lord send an urgent message? We were ordered to return to the capital immediately." The other gave a slight mocking smile. "So, now he finally remembered us?" "Normally the Lord only trusts the 4 great houses and Tianyin Palace," he said in a slightly mocking voice. While they were talking in the capital, the situation was getting worse. The dragons were still wreaking havoc in the city, flying over the burning areas and searching for their true targets. Suddenly, the next attack landed on the old man's hut. A powerful explosion shook the ground, destroying the surrounding huts. Dust and debris filled the air, and the force of the impact tore the old man's clothes. He slowly stood up, anger welling up in his eyes. "How dare anyone cause trouble in Nakamura State?" he shouted. "Who would dare?" Then he looked intently at the sky. His expression changed. A dragon. He looked up at the large creature and muttered in surprise. "How could a dragon come here?" The dragon circled in the air once and then spoke in a deep voice. "So, you're a 5th grade skilled professional." As soon as he gathered the courage to say yes, the dragon struck. With a single brutal swipe of its claw, it crushed him like an ant. In just a few seconds, his body was torn apart and blood splattered across the ground. The man standing in front of him began to tremble violently after witnessing the scene. "What, my lord?" he stammered. "Nakamura Kyoto and the Sorimachi clan, the dragon has wiped them out completely." The attack had been so powerful that the leader was crushed instantly. But the other man nearby suddenly burst into laughter and said coldly, "It's over! The Sakura Nation is finished!" Meanwhile, another man who was supporting the king spoke urgently. "My lord, this place is no longer safe. Please come with me. I'll take you somewhere secure." Above them, dragons were still circling in the sky over the ruined huts. Within moments, one of them quickly locked onto its next target and launched another attack. The dragon unleashed windfall power. It was a terrifying ability. Once activated, it created intense air pressure inside the target area, sealing the space completely. Then a structural explosion followed, tearing everything apart and breaking the entire area down into elemental wind particles. An air barrier suddenly appeared above the hut, sealing the area. The dragon roared loudly and said, "This is the target." At the same time, another dragon descended from the sky and began raining fire. Within moments, the entire hut was engulfed in flames and burned to ashes. After the attack, the dragons began speaking among themselves. "It's done," one of them said. "Everyone listed has been eliminated." "All targets are finished," another added. "In fact, I may have killed more people than necessary." Soon, the dragons formed a line in the sky and launched attacks from all directions, some releasing flames, some striking with lightning currents, and others unleashing torrents of water. The battlefield was filled with destruction. After a while, their mission completed, the dragons slowly pulled back and retreated from the area. The next day, several officials were sitting inside an office, discussing the destruction caused by the dragons. One of them was Chi Tangun, a level 128 spirit controller and the prince of the Great Court. With a serious expression, he spoke to the others. "A giant dragon has attacked the Sakura Nation," he said, "and their ruler is dead." The room fell silent as the weight of his words sank in. He continued. "Tianyan has already taken the 4 house leaders with him. The Sakura Nation has completely collapsed. Chaos has spread everywhere." Then he looked around the room and said firmly, "This is the perfect time for us to take action.